Do the shit until they murder me.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another World of Tanks console video. My name is Zach, and today's video is all about Spoils of War, an epic new War Stories trilogy that was introduced along with update 4.4 in April of this year, 2018. History has been rewritten, 3 new heroes fight back in War Stories Spoils of War. The year is 1948 and World War II never ended. Prepare to battle through and adapt to a new and unfamiliar world in an epic new trilogy of war stories. Spoils of War features 3 entirely new thrilling story-driven missions, which are playable in single-player and cooperative online multiplayer. Fight back against history itself on 3 different fronts, with a trio of Germany, American, and Soviet heroes, and do what's necessary to survive in the face of inconceivable odds. Captain Karl Straup fends off Soviet attackers from a doomed village in Siebenritter. Sergeant Frank Martinez attempts to liberate a horde of priceless artifacts from German raiders in the Connoisseur, and Captain Anatoly Petrov fights to save a starving town on the German front lines from the invasion in Potemkin. Follow your conscience instead of your orders as you face a future that should never have happened. Get ready to write your own war stories. All 3 new war stories are available to play for free on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Xbox 360. So screw you PC players, we're still getting new stuff that you probably don't have access to as of yet, because I don't know if they plan on ever introducing this onto PC version. I don't see why they wouldn't. However, I like the fact that console gets an exclusive mode that we can have fun with. Basically alternative history, as it pretty much states in war stories in general. So, Spoils of War starts off with Siebenritter fight to save a doomed town. World War II lumbers towards an inevitable bloody conclusion, with German forces being recalled to make one last stand in Berlin. On the Polish border, a single German town holds out hope that they can survive a looming Soviet assault for long enough to surrender to the approaching American forces instead. One commander and his men are faced with a difficult decision: obey orders and return to the capital to make a final stand against the Allies, or stay to fight and defend the town. Captain Karl Staup and the Siebenritter team up to fight off overwhelming odds and save a doomed town from certain destruction in the first installments of the War Stories Spoils of War trilogy. And along with the Siebenritter, Defense Towers introduces a new concept to the game in the form of defense towers. These are stationary turrets located across the map that will fire upon the enemy, each having their own health, modules, and crew. You can issue commands to defense towers to help you fight off the invasion and save the town. Siebenritter means 7 knights in German and refers to Captain Staup's team, who are tasked at defending the town. The chapter of War Stories was inspired by the classic 1952 Japanese film Seven Samurai, which is about a band of Ronin samurai without a lord or master who defend a farming town from bandits. Now, I believe I have actually seen the Seven Samurai, or at least have watched an anime version of it, because I know there's an anime called The Seven Samurai, which was still an interesting concept in itself. However, I'm really interested to see the Seven Samurai original film that they have here, and as of yet, I still have not played the War Stories, and I will be running through, I guess, a separate playlist, creating a new playlist of myself going through each of the War Stories and giving my overall opinions towards the end of them. So look forward to those, along with the playthrough of Spoils of War when those roll around. Next, we move on to Spoils of War: The Connoisseur. Rescue priceless treasures from German raiders. So World War II begins to wind down, leaving the world frantically scrambling to return to a sense of normality. There was a mad dash to capitalize on the fear and uncertainty of the war's final days, as soldiers rushed to appropriate as much wealth as possible by stealing art and treasure from across a war-ravaged Europe. American soldier Frank Martinez receives order to destroy a building that houses a cache of stolen treasures and works of art, but someone else has beaten him to the punch. Fight off a band of German soldiers to preserve and save some of Europe's greatest cultural treasures in the second installment, which I assume that's misspelt right there with one L. Missing of War Stories Spoils of War Trilogy: The Connoisseur. Kunstschutz was the German practice of appropriating and preserving art during times of conflict. The Allies saw this as looting, and it was a major point of contention during and after World War II. Many pieces of art taken remain missing to this day. So it's an interesting take on what the aftermaths of the war led up to, but this should be a little bit interesting playing through. I really want. I'm looking forward to playing the Connoisseur just because it seems like a great concept, and seems like a great concept that would have been good for FPS, first person shooter type of thing. I'm interested to see how a band of thieves managed to get a hold of a tank. Well, at least that's what it's pretty much looking like it'll be. So, Spoils of War Potemkin is the final part in the trilogy. Rebel against Soviet High Command. One Soviet artillery commander has kept an entire town on the German front lines from starvation by selling them food and supplies through the black market. However, Soviet High Command has discovered the dealings and scrambled an armored NKVD unit to restore order, potentially leaving the town to starve. Captain Anatoly Petrov contemplates the risk of being captured or raining hell on incoming invaders to keep the town safe. With the enemies and danger on all sides, the War Stories Spoils of War Trilogy comes down to its thrilling conclusion in its third and final chapter, Potemkin. This is the first War Stories chapter, which stars a Soviet hero, Captain Anatoly Petrov. Potemkin takes its name from the 1925 silent film Battleship Potemkin, which tells the story of a rebellious crew of a Russian battleship. So it's interesting the way they decided to go with the concept of it, and it seems overall pretty fun. I assume this is a T-54 or T-54 Mod 1. Well, that seems like a T-54 with a stock turret. It's Panzer 5.4. Wait, whoop. Oh, it made it larger. I know you're going to be driving in the final war story, the Object 261, which is interesting enough that they decided to go with a war story having people play through an artillery nonetheless. Um, you know, that in itself seems controversial because I know a lot of people don't like driving artillery, and it's kind of good to see that the devs want to put you in the hands of an artillery in the war stories to at least see some of the stuff that you would if you're driving in a little bit more controlled environment for this, in this case. The Object 261 going against a bunch of other tanks. And I believe this was stated on the live stream with Daryl Higa. He's the main writer behind the War Stories. He writes the scenarios. And he stated that this game mode should also be playable because once you complete War Stories, again, you can go back through its challenge mode, which lets you pick any of your tanks, any tier tanks, to go through the operation or war story through. So even though for the first time you play through, you will have to do the Object 261, it should still be playable with normal tanks, and it'll be interesting to see the spin on it when you do introduce your own tanks into the game. Although I have not played the Object 261, I've played against it multiple times, and that tank is very fearsome for its gun and accuracy, as I think out of all the artillery it's the most accurate one. So it'll be interesting to play through, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and try it out in the War Story. And overall, the War Stories itself this trilogy, Spoils of War, seems very interesting, and I can't wait to play it. So along with War Story, we come with War Story Teller bundles. All premium vehicles to purchase from the store come with 100% range crew. It's own garage slot and a mix of standard and premium ammo, access to the vehicle's ASOP, which should be completed within 7 days of the bundle purchase date. So War Stories Teller 6 Mega comes with the Adler VK4503 and the Hellhounds, the Ellen und Panzer M41 90, the Hellhounds for 15,000 golds. That's not too bad. It's a 20% discount, but considering you get a tier 7 and a tier 8, out of that bundle, the Hellhound is pretty much the go-to tank. The VK4503 I'm not too much of a fan of. As I said, it's a cool looking tank. It's just in some senses not worth the purchase, and the only thing really selling that bundle is pretty much the Hellhounds. War Storyteller number 7, Mega, is the Captured King Tiger, Tier 8 American King Tiger, and the Sherman Fury for 15,700 gold. Now, it's interesting enough that they're deciding to sell the Sherman Fury again because, as stated last year in one of the videos that I covered, they had pretty much stated that the Fury was not going to be purchasable after December 31st or January 1st, 2018, because they had lost the rights to the Fury being in game. Not in game, but the rights to sell the tank again without that license. However, the sheer amount of people that have said we want the Fury back, we would like to purchase it, ended up pretty much provoking them, or not provoking, pushing them to getting the license back and being able to reinstate the Sherman Fury into the bundle to be sold again. The Captured King Tiger for the Americans, I did a video of this for the tank review, and as well as a video, I believe, for, I don't know if it was the King Tiger or the Captured. I think it was the Captured from Steel Titan when he submitted. That would be the first in the playlist for community replay submissions. And I highly recommend you check it out. The Captured King Tiger and the King Tiger itself are very great tanks as they take after fully upgraded Tiger 2 tanks. So moving on, we have War Storyteller. War Storyteller 8 mega bundle, which is the Versilla KV4K and the Glory IS5 for 25,250 gold. That is a hefty amount of gold for 2 heavy hitting tanks. I believe the IS5 does not get preferential matchmaking, neither does the KV4K or the Glory and the Versilla, but they do play fairly well, and I can see that being more one of the sought out bundles for the Russian nation to begin with, as those tanks are very popular to begin with. And if you don't have one, because I don't have one, I highly recommend to pick it up. It's probably out of the ones here, pretty much a great bundle between the 3 of them to pick up. If you didn't get the Fury and the Captured King Tiger, that might also be one of those tanks you want to catch up to as well. So if you don't like having the bundles, you can always pick up the tanks by themselves. The VK Adler 4503 is on sale for 8,350 gold. The Captured King Tiger is for 12,750 gold. The Glory IS5 is up for 14,000 gold. The Hellhound is up for 7,350 gold. The Sherman Fury is 3,725 gold, and the Versilla KV4K is up for 13,350 golds. Quite a lot. You also have the Spoils of War limited time edition bundles. These bundles are only available for 24 hours after completing the corresponding War Stories Spoils of War chapter. So if you complete a chapter, you get access to a 50% off for that tank for 24 hours. So if you complete all 3, you basically have 24 hours from the time of your completion to basically purchase that tank. The Sabin Ritter tank battle will give you the Panzer Kampfwagen 4 Hydrostat Tier 5 tank. 65% savings will roughly run you 1,375 with a 100% trained crew, 1 garage slot, 3 days of premium, 3 experience boosts, and 4 crew experience boosts, along with the ace op for the Hydrostat. If you complete the Connoisseur tank battle, you get the option to buy the M4A2E4 Ripper. The Ripper M4 Sherman is a great little beast of a tank. With 65% savings, you get a 1,025 gold. 50% off of that. I think it's 50%. It's a little bit more than 50%, but anyway, 100% garage, 100% trained crew, 1 garage slot, 3 days of premium, 2 3 times experience boosts, and 2 times 4 crew experience boosts. 3 experience boosts, 2 3 times experience boost, and 4 time crew experience boost. Okay, I'm making sure I don't stumble. I'm probably dead, but the Potemkin tank bundle will be the Honor T28 with the F30 with a 100% trained crew, 1 garage slot, 3 days of premium, 3 times experience boost, and 4 times crew experience boost for 1,025. Now I own the Honor T28E and it with the F30. So I would probably have to choose between the Ripper Sherman or the Hydrostat, and I'm more looking towards the Ripper Sherman to be able to add it to my collection. Just because I like the face on it, I really do. It's just a goofy look. So overall, the War Stories, what are your thoughts on it? Have you guys played it? Please let me know down in the comments below. I'm trying to scroll up, but it never does. It always clicks off. I would love to be able to show you a video. However, the last time I ended up doing a video with videos on that from Wargaming, I ended up getting copyrighted from one of the songs throughout the video, and I'd hate that to be done again. I just basically had that part of the video muted because I don't really care for it that much. But if you guys want, I'll leave the link down in the description for you guys to be able to check out the article. Overall, this seems to be a great and interesting concept for a new War Stories. Although I know a lot of people are bringing up the whole we took out maps thing for War Stories. However, Jeff Gregg has said that in the next update, in May, they plan on reintroducing those maps, so they'll be adjusting around some of the selections from War Stories, or I assume the data that the amount of data that the War Stories use will be able to be compacted a little bit better and configured so that they can introduce the maps that were taken out for the War Stories. So if you guys are worried about that, don't be. So that's it again for the Spoils of War Stories. Let me know if you guys have played through which of the War Stories have you guys enjoyed. Whether that be Seven Ritter, the Connoisseur, Potemkin. I'd really like to hear your guys' opinions on them, and the concept of the turrets, the defense towers. Let me know how you guys feel about them in the new game mode. I still again haven't had a chance to play with them, or even any of the Spoils of War, or even War Stories in general. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I'm at least getting an opinion of what I'm looking forward to from that. So catch you guys in the next video, and have a good night.